today. My name is Funso Haastrup. I'm a certified coach with the International Coaching Federation, and my focus is on leadership development and people development. I strongly believe if the world can develop more leaders, we could help solve some of the ongoing problems we've had. So my focus is on helping to develop people and develop better leaders. Today, unfortunately, most of you are stuck with me for the next 90 minutes, but I promise to make it a time of fun and learning and also some insights today. Today, we have a beautiful agenda set out to you, and I hope you all enjoy your time with us today. But before I get started, please don't forget, if you're yet to purchase our book today, The Adventures of Zeph, please, there's a link just at the bottom of the slide out there. You could click on that link to start the process of purchasing your book. At the end of our conversation today, there are also some goodies that we will be talking about. So just note, you can always purchase the book anytime as you wish, as we go along during this conversation. So we have a lot of people joining us from everywhere today. Thank you so much. It could be morning, it could be afternoon, or it could be evening, wherever you are. I just want to welcome you today. But before we go on, let's have fun. I so much enjoy having the session and bringing in some fun into it. So the first thing I want us to do, I'm going to take us back into the chat room. We have a moderator in the chat room. I want you to introduce yourself to us. Now, because we can't get to meet everyone, so I decided to make this a fun way. So what you're going to do is you're going to introduce yourself to the whole virtual classroom by using the format below. Think about an adjective, that starts with the first letter of your name, okay? Now use that adjective to introduce yourself and type that into the chat box. So if your name is Henry, you could say, I'm happy Henry. For instance, my name is Funso, and I would say, funny Funso. So let's meet you all. Please introduce yourself in the chat room again. Just think about one adjective that describes you as an individual and use that to introduce yourself to us. While we wait for people to come in, I see awesome Ajibola, welcome on board. Thank you so much. Attentive to Ajibola, awesome, thank you so much. So just go, oh, it's blowing right here. Excited for Labi, Agile, Ayo. Wow, I can see the list popping up here and there. Brave Bonnie, thank you so much. So let's just get to meet people. Let's have fun. Active Abimbola, Achiever Abimbola, excellent Eunice. The list is just popping up. Go ahead, let's just meet you. Let's hear something funny about you. I so much like it being a little bit of fun and informal kind of thing. So let's just bring it together. Inspired Ikene, thankful to meet up with joyful Jide, loving Dele, amicable Akindipe, lovely Laura, awesome. So just think about the first letter of your name and then you use that as an adjective. Funky, flaky, wow, that's good. Awesome, so just go ahead and keep introducing yourself. Let's make sure, let's have some fun before we go on today. I must say I'm really excited to be with you today. I've known the author for a very long time. He's a friend, he's a brother, he's a beautiful father to two wonderful kids, is a wonderful husband, and someone who I adore so much. And I'm excited about being able to co-host and be your guide on today's journey together. Without further ado, just keep that going in the chat room. We have someone in there. Just some things for us to remember as we go along today. The use of microphones and cameras. Please, if you're not speaking, we highly ask that you mute yourself. Your microphones are on. For some of you, we can't see you. So just be mindful of the things you're doing online because everyone can see you right now. A reminder about the chat room, you're not the only one using the chat room. So please be mindful of other people and the things we kind of say in the chat room. Let's keep it respectful and let's make sure we're using the chat room just for the intended purpose. At the end, towards the end of today's session, you will have an opportunity to ask our speaker, the author, some questions. So I'm going to leave that to the end of the session. But if you have any question for our author today, you'll have a time to ask him some of those questions. For those of you who have been pre-selected to speak in today's virtual book launch, please bear in mind that there's a time limit to your conversation, and I will be stopping you at the mark of the time. So just keep your conversation and your words in the space of your 2 minutes or your 5 minutes or the 7 minutes allocated to you already, but I'll let you know. And I think the most important thing, let's learn something new from today's session. For me, when I get to host virtual sessions like this or attend one, I always look to leave those sessions with something in mind. And today it's just about learning more about this particular book, hearing from the key speaker, and also learning more about the author, although I've known him for like forever, but I want to hear some things about him that I don't know. So please, let's just have this at the back of our mind as we go along today. I think it's going to be some time of fun together, and I'm really looking forward to spending this time with you. Okay. All right. So before we get into our conversation today, I would like to formally introduce to you the author of The Adventure of Zeph, Dr. Tolu Sajobi. Like I said earlier, he's a brother and he's a friend. From the professional point of view, is a statistician, an accomplished University of Calgary professor. He's an educator, he's a mentor, and a consultant. Dr. Sajobi has spent some time doing what he loves best up to date. He's written various scientific journals and won numerous awards, including Calgary's top 40 under 40 award. Aside from his scientific writing, when he's not in the lab like he would be sometimes, he loves writing and developing strategies to help young professionals redefine success and also achieve a balance while managing multiple and sometimes, intersecting roles with respect to career, family, culture, leadership, faith, and relationship. Today, Dr. Tolu Sajobi is the author of this new book we're launching today, The Adventure of Zeph. And I'm really excited, ladies and gentlemen, to welcome you, Dr. Tolu. Please take it up from there, Tolu.
Thank you, Funso. Really appreciate you moderating this session. Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon, good evening. Really appreciate you joining us for today. I'm grateful for the overwhelming show of support by you and many people around the world who have reached out to me after the release of this book last December. Many have been actually surprised that I've published a book. Some kind of thought, how can the mathematician Tolu or the NAD statistician that they know write a fiction novel? What is it all about? Is it about mathematics? I remember chatting with a good friend of mine, and I said, Auntie, I'm writing a book and it's going to be out very soon. And we were just like, oh, that must be about statistics, right? And I said, no, it's a novel. And it was just like, yeah, it should be about statistics. I said, no, it's actually not about statistics. So I've got that questions, and I keep getting questions about where do you get the time? How did this happen? What motivated you? What's the book all about? Lots of questions like that. And it's all right. Hopefully I can get time to answer everyone, but I'm going to try and answer one of those questions today in my opening remarks. And that is the question about what The Adventures of Zeph is all about. And I'm going to spend maybe 5 to 7 minutes telling you the essence of the book and how that book can relate to you and how you can relate with the truth and story that I've actually put in the book. So The Adventures of Zeph book details the journey of a teenager who grew up in a dysfunctional family and ended up in a faraway country where he rose through the ranks and led the world through a global crisis. One thing that's easy to do is just to dismiss the book as a fiction book about immigration, told through the lens of someone like me, who understands the trials and triumph of being an immigrant, right? But the actual fact is that the book isn't just about immigration. It's actually much deeper than that. And at the very core of the story that's in this book is the concept that I call transitions. I believe strongly in my heart that we're all immigrants. And I'm not saying this from the point of politics. People try to throw that word around when the elections are coming. So this is not about politics at all. But I believe that at the core essence of who we are and how we do life is the fact that we are transitioning through different phases of life. So for some, it is actual relocation from one country to another or one city to another. And that's the conventional definition of immigration. But for many of us, it's actually a transition between life phases. For example, a young couple that just welcomed their first child and they are transitioning from being just responsible for each other to fatherhood and motherhood. The parents of preteens, kids that are looking forward to transitioning into teenage years is another story entirely. It's a transition and there are concerns and are the kids going to be? For parents of adult children or parents who just send their last born to university, getting out of the house, it's another transition into empty nest. They're dealing with how do we adapt when kids are no longer there anymore. All of us are we're transition, exiting different phases of life into new ones, and we're adapting to changes. For the career conscious folks, it might be, transitions into different positions in the company or at work, getting promoted into new roles. Or for some, it could be essentially changing careers completely. For many of us, we can relate with transitions because in the last 2.5 years, we've been dealing with multiple waves of the COVID pandemic, and we're dealing with the resulting fallout and disruptions that's happened in our lives. And unfortunately, there are also many of us that are dealing with the loss of loved ones. So you see, in essence, we're all in transitions, entering and exiting different phases of life while trying to adapt and adjust to situations which sometimes don't have ready-made answers or textbook answers. So in the Adventures of Zeph, I try to do something. I try to weave into this story important lessons about faith, about courage, about personal growth, about leadership, and how to effectively adapt to change in whatever situations you are going through. So here's the truth. If you have just relocated to a new country, for example, and you're struggling to find your feet, or you've lived and thrived where you were born or raised, one thing is that we all share one thing in common. The truth is that we're all in transitions. We're always on the move, always negotiating and navigating changes and life transitions, which unfortunately sometimes happen simultaneously in multiple aspects of our lives, And in the Adventures of Zeph, in this book, you will find important lessons about hope, about resilience, about courage, about leadership, about relationships, and other thought-provoking lessons that will kind of get you to think outside the box. And also, I try to tackle some of the social issues that are plaguing our modern society today. So while the book is filled with many lessons, I want to kind of mention 5 of those lessons I want to share with you today, and I want you to take away from this event. We're all in transitions, and transitions are not always easy, whether you just physically relocated or intentional transitions or sometimes accidental transitions. Number one thing I want you to know that you're not alone in your transitions. Essentially, we're all in the same boat. Some of us are good at hiding it and just saying, well, we put up the smiles and everything is fine. And we deal with the struggles and the challenges of transitions in private. But some of us are also like, we wear our hats on our sleeves and everybody knows what we're going through. And understanding that you're not alone in your transitions and the changes and disruptions that are happening in your life will make you to be kind to other people and lend a helping hand, as we all deal with some of the things that we're going through. So that's number one point. The number 2 point is that your reactions and responses to transitions will determine the outcomes of your life. So you have 2 options. You could choose to respond positively and bravely, embrace the change, or you could decide and say you just want to crawl back into your shell and fail to embrace change at all. Number three thing I like to talk about is the fact that every transition is an opportunity to grow, despite the discomfort. I must confess, transitioning is not easy, whether it's physical transition into a new place, or whether it's emotional transition, whether you're transitioning into a new phase of life. It's not always easy, but it's also an opportunity to evolve and get you out of your comfort zone. So I'm going to encourage you, embrace the transitions. Number four, there are strategies to help you cope with the transitions as you adapt to your new environment. There's always a solution out of things. And in the Adventures of Zeph book, we've listed a number of, you see a number of strategies in the story that helps you to adapt to whatever you're going through. And finally, the number 5 point I want to make is that don't be stuck in the past. In the book, one of the key lessons of the book is that the past is in the past and you've got to leave it in the past. So no matter how good or bad the past has been, I want to encourage you not to carry the baggage of the past. But don't forget to know that there are probably important things in your past that you can leverage to propel yourself forward, reach your goal, and redefine your future and redefine success as it is for you. So throughout this book launch, you're going to hear from my friends and colleagues, people that have read the book. You're going to hear them share lessons and perspectives about this book. I must declare that I have not paid them to come and talk here. They've been so gracious enough to share their time and expertise and to support me in this journey as I try to write a book and publish the book and promote the book. So why we want you to get the book, if you've not gotten your copy, or if you've gotten your copy, we want you to gift it to other people. I hope that this book launch and the book itself will spark important conversations about growth, about adaptation, about transitions, and how we can thrive during and after transitions in our lives. So once again, thank you for joining us. Welcome to this book launch. I hope you will stay with us to the end of this event today. Thank you. Over to you, Heidi.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sajobi. I think personally, I've picked a lot from you as an individual. I remember vividly well, about 14 years ago, sitting down in your room at the University of Windsor, you did tell me about your dream of writing a book about your experience and things like that. And we laughed about it casually. And here we have 14 years after talking about the launch of one of your first book. I must commend you on the great effort. And I'm sure every individual that reads this book will find something in it that they can take away. I've read the book myself, and from where I sit as a change manager and as a professional coach, I think I've learned some things that could help me grow as an individual. And I'm also sure other people would get one or two things away. Thank you so much, Dr. Sajobi. I would like to move on to the next part of our agenda today to introduce our keynote speaker, Professor Rita Orji. I call her a High-on woman. You know, she's a female version of the High-on man, if there's anything like that. She's the Canada Research. She's a Canada Research Chair and a computer science professor at the University at Dalhousie University, where she directs Persuasive Computing Lab. That's a huge word. She's an accomplished researcher and has won various awards. One of them, which comes up to my mind, and I see her on this every day, is top 150 Canadian women in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And she's also been named a member of the Royal Society of Canadian College of Scholars, Artists, and Scientists. She's a recognized STEM diversity ambassador who is passionate about inspiring the next generation of youths and female tech leaders, promoting research excellence, equity, diversity, and inclusion in STEM. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome me as I pass the floor over to Professor Rita Orji. Rita, over to you.
Okay, is my voice coming through?
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear, Rita.
Okay, hello everyone. Thank you, MC, for that introduction. Thank you, Tolu, for the invitation, Professor Sajobi, and thank you everyone for being here. So before I start, I want to give you a highlight of what I'm going to be saying. Is my video on?
Yes.
Okay, I want to give you a highlight of what I'm going to be talking about. I'm going to talk about myself briefly as it relates to the Adventures of Zeph and Tolu. And then I'm going to talk about Professor Sajobi from personal experience. And I will talk about the lessons I learned from the Adventures of Zeph from also personal experience. So let's get it started. I am a researcher, a mentor, a consultant, a professor, and above all, I am a lifelong learner. Generally, I read a lot, and I am not talking about research or academic related readings. I read wide. I like to know something about many things around me, about life in general, about my environment. In fact, I'm a voracious reader. However, to be honest, I have not read any book back to back in the past 10 years, at least. Nevertheless, I'm happy to announce to you today that I finished The Adventures of Zeph back to back. That's a huge accomplishment. And guess what? I am not disappointed. In fact, I am eagerly waiting for the part 2 of this novel. You know, Professor Sajobi, hope there will be part 2. And when should we actually expect it? That's what I should be asking. Please don't disappoint us, you know, get to work. You know, the reward of a good work is more work. The Adventures of Zeph stirred many curiosities in me. There are so many unanswered questions, from my opinion, that needs to be answered in part 2 of this book, in my opinion. For example, what happened to the relationships between Libyans and Nubians after the strategic meeting by Nubian community, where they decided to integrate more? And how did that impact the communities, both positively and negatively? How about Zeph's father, brother, sister, and the stepmother? The list of things that were coming to my mind after I finished the book actually goes on. I know these questions may sound strange to those who haven't read the novel. There are just so many reasons you should grab a copy, or at least, of this book. Like I said, I am happy to be here delivering this keynote. You see, to give you a context, in 2021 alone, I was invited to write a foreword or give a keynote for about 10 books or more, book launches. I did not accept any of those, not because I didn't want to do that, you know, but because I'm very busy, and as a matter of integrity and respect for self and others, I decided that I would not speak or write about any book unless I'm able to read it back to back. And this is not an easy feat to accomplish considering my busy schedule. So when Professor Sajobi came calling for me to deliver this keynote, I had already closed my door to invitations to speak for the major part of this year. Any new invitation received the default answer, no, as a response. However, I couldn't say no easily to Professor Sajobi. I had to find a way to squeeze this into my tight schedule for 2 major reasons. One is Professor Sajobi has inspired me from my early days in Canada as a graduate student. I came to Canada in 2010 to pursue my PhD at the University of Saskatchewan. And I decided to apply for the prestigious Vanier Scholarship in a few months after my arrival to Canada. And after reading through the requirements and receiving many discouraging accounts and testimonies on how it's a total waste of time and impossible to win and not worth my effort, while I was meditating and planning my strategies amidst all the discouragements, I came across Professor Sajobi's profile and saw that he had won the scholarship in the past. So I reached out. The rest is history. The summary is that my discussions with him and the tips provided strengthened my resolve to pursue the scholarship, which I eventually won and was ranked among the top. Ever since then, Professor Sajobi has remained an inspiration. The second reason is that some people are known for quality and excellence, and Professor Sajobi is one of them. Whatever he touches turns to gold. I know his book will be of high quality and was sure I would read it at some point. So I decided to make out the time to read it now and give the keynotes. So here I am, and like I mentioned, I read the book back to back. The Adventures of Zeph is a fictional storybook with a touch of reality. It is loaded with practical life lessons for people of all age groups, gender, race, belief, walks of life, and orientations. The novel intertwines fictional stories with lessons of integrating in a new culture, living in a multicultural environment, dealing with racial injustice, dealing with integration, and navigating strategically one's way into the top. It is a story of courage, resilience, and hope, and teaches us to dream, believe, and adapt as necessary to every challenge we might face in life. It teaches so many practical skills and survival strategies for navigating through many challenges of life. Now we'll highlight a few of the life lessons and supporting quotes from the Adventures of Zeph. The first lesson is about building and sustaining meaningful relationships. As we move up the ladder in our career and other walks of life, you will realize that working hard and smart is good, but not enough. The quality of your relationship will determine how far and fast you can go. Throughout the novel, The Adventures of Zeph, you will learn many lessons on not only why you should dedicate some time and resources to building and maintaining solid relationships, but also how you can do that. You will learn the value of mentors, friends, allies, sponsors in our lives. God often works through humans. And here is an example quote from The Adventures of Zeph that pertains to building and maintaining meaningful relationships. And I quote, "You need to identify allies, sponsors, friends who are committed to seeing you succeed. As I have mentioned to some of you, segregating ourselves from the Nubian society is damaging to our growth and prosperity. Such policies rob us and our children of opportunities to identify allies, mentors, and sponsors who can point us to the right information and opportunity for growth. I wouldn't have been successful in General Aziz's villa nor appear before King Nobins without training, mentorship, and opportunities that Master Banga, Onan, and the prisoner director, and many others who helped me along the way afforded me. We need to maintain an open mind and be willing to welcome new relationships, even with people who might not share the same belief and background with us." A second lesson that stood out for me from this is the lesson about strategic leadership and governance. Most times, a leader is as good as the quality of his followers and the surrounding environments. Oftentimes, minorities are focused and are good at working hard to earn their living. However, it is usually not enough, especially when we rise to leadership positions. We need to be able to know our strengths and weaknesses and leverage on the capacities within our environment to be effective. I learned that lesson the moment I became a prof and directing a big lab. I realized that 10 times me is unable to meet up with my daily responsibilities. I immediately learned the value of delegating duties and training people under me to take up some of the responsibilities. You will need to be able also to trust those people and give them the autonomy they need to operate while spearheading things. The Adventures of Zeph taught us many lessons on how and the importance of strategic leadership and governance. And here is a direct quote from the novel, and I quote, "With time, I grew into the position of a household manager. Despite crushing weight of responsibilities I endured during the first year. To improve my effectiveness in management, I trained some servants who demonstrated leadership potentials to share the responsibility and the burden with me. I ran evening classes on accounting, leadership, public speaking, fashion, supply chain management, and royal etiquette. For these men and women, I encouraged these leaders to also grow other leaders in that division. By the end of the first year in my role as the house manager, I had developed a team of leaders to whom I delegate some of my leadership responsibilities, end of quotes. The next lesson from the Adventures of Zeph is lesson on the need to self-develop and lifelong learning, self-improvement. We are all humans, and as such, we are limited in knowledge. More importantly, in this fast-paced technology era, the only way to remain relevant is continuous self-improvement and lifelong learning. You can't be too old to learn. I finished my PhD a few years ago. However, majority of what I do right now as a prof have little or nothing to do with what I did during my PhD as a student. Most of the work I supervise, most of the work being done by students are entirely new, but I keep learning. And here is a direct quote from the novel that's alludes to lifelong learning. A commitment to lifelong learning gave me an enduring success. One of the realities that you face when you arrive at a new place or a new stage is the need to learn, unlearn, and relearn everything. Even though I was a teenager when I arrived here, I had to commit to learning the language, training myself in many new things. I did not learn many new things I did not learn while growing up in Lebron. End of quote. And the next skill is the need for skill mapping and transitioning from trying to survive to succeeding and flourishing. You know, a common misconception about skills and experiences gained by immigrants in their home countries before migrating is that it hardly applies to their new country. People often believe that you need to forget all you have learned in your home country and start afresh in your new country as an immigrant. However, this is hardly true. With appropriate skill mapping and strategic planning, those skills and experiences can open greater doors of opportunity and make one successful if properly leveraged. Most of what helped me succeed in my professional life today are what I acquired while working with my parents in the farm, helping as a petty trader, or serving in the church. All our experiences acquired both in formal and informal settings account for something and can contribute to our success. And here is a direct quote from the Adventures of Zeph as to this regard. Having learned bookkeeping and business development skills while in Lebron with father, I surmise that such skills would be useful if I can volunteer to assist the manager. So I frequently stopped by his office to ask how I could be of help. In fact, there are so many other lessons about every aspect of our lives you can think of from this novel, including lessons about governance, project management, politics, parenting strategies for training children in multicultural environments, strategies for integrating into the society and succeeding, looking beyond challenges to see the opportunity, being sensitive to the times and seasons in your life and in our environment and seizing these opportunities, the value of dedication, resilience, and other secrets of success. In conclusion, the novel is loaded with practical life lessons for people of all age groups, gender, race, belief, walk of life, and orientations. I have sent a copy as gifts to my niece and other people, and I recommended it to many friends and colleagues. I strongly recommend it. Pick a copy for yourself and get for your children and friends as gifts. Finally, I would like to say congratulations once again to Professor Sajobi for insightful, well-written piece with thought-provoking narrative and brilliant ideas that would help us navigate through life. in the multicultural environment and succeed. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor Rita. That was insightful. I think that's already an in-depth analysis of what the book looks like. And if you're yet to purchase a copy of the book, please feel free to check out the link below to get your copy. Just like you, I had so many questions when I read the book. And one of the weirdest questions I've had is, why the name The Adventures of Zeph? You know, there could be a different name, but that's a question for Dr. Sajobi at the end of our time together today, which I think he would answer when the floor is open for questions. But thank you so much for that insight, Professor Rita. And as we move forward onto the next item on our agenda, it's time for us to have some fun. So I'll ask you to please pull up your smart devices and go to menti.com and use the code you see up on your screen. It's just a minute, I'll just put that up so you can, okay, there you go. So it's 6116, just try to pull that up. Yeah, so use the code you have shown up on your screen out there and just answer the questions, and we will have that popping up on the screen soon. Just go ahead and type that into your smart devices and answer the questions as they pop up on the screen, please.
ID, can
and
you?
the link is in the chat room.
Perfect.
So please free to just use that. Okay, so just go in and pop in your answers in there. What you agree, what you disagree with, strongly agree, strongly disagree, not sure. And let's see how well you know our author today, Dr. Tolu Sajobi. Answers are popping in. So once again, the code is 6118-8450, and just go into menti.com on your smart device, on your computer, and use that code, and that will take you to this page where you can go ahead and answer the question. So it looks like a lot of people know so much about you, Professor. That's good. And a lot of people are kind of guessing about you, which is not a bad thing. Okay, we have about 1 minute before I close that down and we'll move on today. So go to www.menti.com and use the code 6118-8450 and try and answer the question as it pops up on your screen. Okay, I will be moving on in about a minute. So if you're not in yet, please try and jump in. Just something to help us, feel relaxed a little bit before we go to the other part of our virtual book launch today. Like I said, you can also purchase the book online. You can do it right now, or you can do it at the end of the session, whatever works for you. But what we're trying to do right now is to see how much we know about Dr. Tolu Sajobi. Does he hold a PhD in biomedicine? Is he a statistician and an educator? Does Dr. Tolu have a twin sister? Is he a keen lover of nature? So just pop your questions in and then we'll take it up from there. Okay, I think we'll just move on right now. Thank you so much for everyone who's taking time to help us with that. And we'll just go ahead with our next agenda on the item. Our next item on the agenda. So the next part of our agenda today, we will be inviting someone to do a book reading for us today. And I have the great pleasure of introducing Temilade Adeleke to please join us on board and read a portion of The Adventures of Zeph to us today. Temilade, over to you, please.
Thank you, Haastrup. I'll be reading. I was privileged to review this book. I think, like everyone has said, it's been inspirational. It's been thought-provoking. So there are two excerpts from the book I'm going to be reading, talking about relationship and how they define and refine our next step. So I'll start from chapter 8. The arrival of Onan catalyzed our preparation for the expected economic boom because I'd already boasted to our team about his smartness and outstanding qualities. Onan's first day in our research park went well as I introduced him to our staff scientists, engineers, policymakers, and cost estimators. Everyone was excited to see what magic it would bring. During the following 2 weeks, Onan was brought up to speed about our programs, but he could not hit the ground running. It was like Onan had a brain freeze. He listened and absorbed all the information about our activities and our plans, but he could not offer any significant input on our programs. Unfortunately, it did not take long before our staff members and scientists began to feel that Onan was overrated. Everyone, including myself, was disappointed that he could not live up to the famed expectation during his first month with the team. So I jump a few paragraphs. Now that you're smiling, why don't you tell me what's eating you up? This is Zeph to Onan. Well, I'm afraid you're going to fail and that we might end up where we started as slaves, he explained. I realized that the fear of failing again has paralyzed Onan mentally. I stood up and walked over to his seat. We would not be enslaved anymore. We are now free men, I assured him. Had I not been in Assisi's villa, I would not have learned all the royal palace etiquette, finance, business, accounting, management, and many other skills which have so far served me well in this palace. If Mrs. Aziz had not lied against me, I would not have been to the prison where the director recommended me to His Highness. Well, that's right. Onan, God has prepared us for such a time as this. It's okay to be worried and fearful, but I have learned to turn my fear into strength by bringing my best to every challenge I face. Serving the Nubian kingdom is scary enough for me. Sometimes I also doubt whether there would even be any season of prosperity or famine. I also fear that many opponents in the royal court will call for my head if none of the predictions come to pass. The assassination attempts on my life, the opposition by the royal family, the racial discrimination, and the hatred from the religious cabal of Nubia, who saw me as the devil, are examples of ever-present dangers I face running this kingdom. But I am confident in the fact that I am favored by God and I am walking under His light. After listening to me for close to an hour, Onan was relieved to hear that I also get afraid sometimes and that he is not alone. He also realized that he could live beyond being in survival mode while turning his fear into motivation. Come on, brother, I'm super pumped with your inspirational speech. Let's get on with our food. That night marked the turning point for Onan. The pep talk I gave over dinner inspired him. I woke up the next day to find that Onan never went to bed. He analyzed all the information he had accumulated during the previous month. His attending servants who thought he had gone insane rushed to inform me that something was wrong. When I entered his room, he had scrolls pasted against the wall where he scribbled several ideas, decision points, and many other scrolls on his bed and reading table. Then I turned to my staff to assure them that Onan is not insane. Young man, the real Onan is back. You can relax. I smiled as I read through the scrolls. I realized that Onan had discovered my big picture vision and had broken it down into smaller projects with different actionable decision points. Also, he drafted an implementation protocol and conducted a gap analysis to examine how our current implementation plan compares. His work also included an impact analysis of our programs on several aspects of the Nubian economy, including national security, financial services, and immigration, areas I have not thought of up until then. So moving on to the next excerpt from the book. On the other hand, this is about the story of Asenat and Zeph. On the other hand, there was a national shortage of labor to support our initiative due to changes in our population dynamics. The growth of the middle class and the upper class meant we had few people to fill the menial job positions. Many immigrants also returned to their home countries since the grass was no longer greener in one kingdom than the other. Frustration began to set in while we wondered how we would cope without sufficient human resources. I was disappointed that we were blindsided by the unexpected consequences of the prosperity, despite all our preparations. More importantly, I was worried that the consequences of having limited human resources to support our program might doom our success. We convened a meeting with the National Economic Team to brainstorm on the sudden gap in human personnel to get our mission back on track. Some suggested going to war with other countries to get more slaves. Others suggested withdrawing all our troops from the front line in our newly conquered territories. But none of those sounded right because our neighbors also had their most prosperous economic season in which they had strengthened their national defense at that time. With no actionable idea for weeks, I became worried. One evening, after a long day of deliberation, I returned home depressed and tired. Asenat welcomed me with open arms and tried to lift my spirit, but I was in no good mood that night. After dinner, we spent some time in the garden just to unwind for the evening. But she observed that my mind was not there. My love, you need to let work matters stay at work and be present with me whenever we are together, she prodded. I am trying to get this out of my mind, but it's so hard. Okay, why don't you tell me what's going on again, she asked. Not this time, my love. I don't want us to spend the precious moment talking about my work again. At her insistence, I reluctantly explained the labor shortage and we were experiencing and my frustration at the inability to fix the problem for weeks. As we kept on working in the garden, my wife changed the subject of our discussion. Could you share with me a couple of stories of some difficult times you have experienced and how you were able to navigate yourself out of these situations? She asked while taking a seat near the lake. I'm not in any mood for stories tonight, I murmured, as she beckoned me to sit beside her. Seeing that I was not interested, she discussed how she spent her day, but I could not get the question out of my mind. The memories of the brutalities I experienced on the way to Nubia, the challenges of surviving the slave market, my trouble in General Assisi's villa, and the tough times I faced while in prison flooded my mind. Suddenly, an idea flashed through my mind like sun rays piercing dark clouds. Immediately, I got up and paced up and down near Hassanat. You've got a new idea, isn't it? Hassanat watched in admiration. Having lived with me long enough to know that I pace up and down whenever I meditate on ideas. The solution lies in our correctional facilities, I declared to Hassanat in excitement. We need to put our prisoners to work. The prison program that I initiated while in the royal prison was still being implemented even years after my departure. I became confident that the best option was to deploy the inmates to support our initiative. Wait a minute, Asenat. Did you intentionally ask me that question? I paused out of sudden realization. Asenat got up and walked up to me, all smiles, as she hugged and planted a kiss on my lips while she ran her fingers across my chest. This is what happens when Mrs. Zeph put her best into all her endeavors, she smiled sultrily. I know you've been distracted by this problem. All I had to do was to help you look inward and find a solution your own way. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Temilade. The next on our agenda is I would be inviting some people who have read the book, who initially, before the book was officially launched, to give us some comments from a reviewer's point of view, what they did learn reading the book and their opinion about the book. So for those of you who I will be calling on, it's going to be randomly. Please note you only have 2 minutes to share your thoughts with us. And I will be stopping you at the mark of 2 minutes for the sake of time. And the first person I'll be calling on is Bolaji Adeniji from Canada. Please, over to you, Bolaji.
Thank you, Haastrup, and good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, at any part of the world that you are. And first and foremost, all protocol observed. And congratulations to a dear brother and friend, Professor Tolu Sajobi, on this finished work. You see, when you look at the finished work, I have to confess to you that you have no idea how many candles had been burned before this finished work actually got here. And I'm sure that my fellow reviewers we testify to what I'm about to say as well, that when you read the first draft, you feel like, wow. But when you are holding the finished work, you feel like, truthfully, something has changed. And when I was told that we give a comment from reviewer's point of view, what I wanted to share with you wouldn't necessarily be only about the book. I just want to share with you that all of us, if you have not actually grabbed a copy of the book, I encourage you to grab one. Now, all of us has something that is deposited in us. And unless we push ourselves into that place of discomfort, we might not be able to put it out. And that's what the story of the Adventures of Zeph is all about. And I want to encourage you, grab your own copy. Thank you, Professor Rita. I was just taking note. I enjoy just taking note because I want to learn something new as well. And if there is something I just want to leave with you, I just want to say, grab your own copy and give it as a gift to a friend. You know, so many things are said here, and I don't want to be going over them so as not to spoil the show for you. But above all, I want to say it's been a wonderful journey to see that this actually materialized into a finished product. So please grab your own copy, give it out as a gift to a friend, and I'm sure they will thank you for it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Bolaji. The next person that will be commenting from a reviewer's point of view will be Dr. Dele Olaf from Winnipeg, I believe. Dele, over to you, please.
Yeah, thank you very much, Funso. Nice to meet you, Prof. Rita, Bolaji, Temilade, and everyone that has spoken, and those that will be speaking after me. So, Tolu, I just want to congratulate you. Mine is a note of congratulation, and this is a great achievement. You have to be very proud of yourself for that. I've read the book now for the third time. I'm reading it, and I will not talk about the book itself. If you want to know what's in the book, you can pick your copy. But I want to say that, you know, there are millions of books out there, several millions, and many of them written by the same persons. But we have 7.2 billion people in the world. So if you look at that, only a fraction of human beings will write a book in their lifetime. So what you've done, Tolu, is a great feat that you have achieved, and I really congratulate you for that. One of my philosophies in life is that it's not only what you achieved that matters, but who you become in the process of reaching for that achievement. And let me give you an example. If you want to make $1 million, you have a goal that in the next 1 year, you'll make $1 million. Now, if you reach that goal and you make the $1 million, now, that $1 million, you can lose it. It could be stolen from you. You can make a mistake and put it in a wrong investment. But the reality is that there is a process you went through to get the $1 million. That is the most important aspect of it, because if you lose the money, you can reproduce it again. So I want to say that, Tolu, when you were writing the book, I saw something new that was inaugurated in you. And it's the fact that during the process, I saw that your creative talent came to life. And you have mentioned it too. In the process, there is something that was not there before, but you just battered something new inside of yourself. And I've known you for a long time. I would say about 23 years now. We started in college together, and I've never seen this with you before. This is the first time that creativity came to life. Now that you're a creative, talented writer, I want to encourage you not to stop. So the Adventures of Zeph is the first one. We are waiting for the next book in the series, and we are waiting for you to start another series entirely. Now, for those of you that are yet to read the book, I will not tell you what is there. I think Prof. Rita and Temilade, they've given you a little bit. I want you to read the book. But one thing I can assure you of that is that this book is a story of courage, resilience, and hope. And Adventures of Zeph actually teaches us to dream, to believe, to adapt, and to stand out. Congratulations to Lulope. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Dele. So it looks like our reviewers would not spill the milk on the contents of the book, but we'll still invite them over to tell us their views, because these were some of the first people that read the book before the official launch. So I'd like to call on Dr. Johnson Iyade to please share his thoughts on the book. I hope it will give us some insights from his point of view. Well, Dr. Johnson, over to you.
Okay, sorry. I hope you can hear me now.
We can hear you loud and clear.
All right, thank you so much. Professor Sajobi, thank you. And we want to say congratulations to you on this very important milestone. I believe that there is so much inside of you that need to come out. And we thank God that eventually those hidden wisdom that God has put inside of you, they are now coming out for the public to actually learn from some of the rich resources that God had deposited in you. Now, Professor Sajobi has been somebody that I've read a lot of his writings. I mean, I'm a pastor, so he writes for us to actually give insights to people. And when I read some of his writings, I was telling him then that one day this thing need to be in a book. So I didn't know that this thing is eventually coming together, and we thank God that ultimately it's able to put it together in a book. So for me, when I look at what he put in the book, it's a very, very deep and inspiring story. For me personally, some of the principles that is shared here are some of the principles that I have lived by, that have really helped me to navigate through a lot of challenging moments in life, especially transitioning from Nigeria first to South Africa and then coming to Canada with a lot of uncertainties and not knowing how things are going to end up. But when I look at some of the principles that he put together in the book, there are some of the principles that for me is a good guide to people who are making that transitional journey, whether it's in your career or whether it is moving from one place to another. And I think some of the nudges are life-changing nudges that will help people to actually navigate through different seasons of life. So I want to congratulate you once again. And knowing that your best is still yet to come, I know that there are still more that God has put inside of you that need to come out. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Professor Johnson. I'll trade over to Professor James Yeku. If you're online, please join in with your comments. Okay, so what about Professor Samuel Hudson from BC, Canada? Is he online? Okay, so without further ado, I think I'll just break the protocols and tradition a little bit. I know we have some colleagues, Professor Sajobi online from the University of Calgary, who's had some time to also read the book. I just want to take one person. If you just want to tell us what your experience is reading the book, I'll just take one person from the University of Calgary, who's a colleague to Professor Sajobi. If you want to do that, please, that will be nice. Anyone from the University of Calgary out here who's had some time to read the book and wants to share one or two reviews with us? Okay, so we'll just move on right now. And now I just want to quickly ask us a general question. So we'll go back to menti.com just like we did previously. And now you're going to use the code 56523029. And I'm asking us a general question, which I just want to see what your views are. So go into menti.com and use the code 56523029. Okay, I'm just going to load that in about a minute. Okay, so what makes a book an interesting read for you where you sit? You know, when you pick up a book, what keeps you going? For Professor Rita, who had read the book back to back, why did you keep going back? So this is just a general open comment conversation. Go to menti.com and use the code 56523029. Captivating, attention holding, suspense, wisdom, relatable story, and the list keep going and just keep popping up your thoughts around when you read a book, what makes it interesting from where you sit as a point of view. Life lessons, the plot of the story, guidance, lessons learned, content, continuity, inspiring, and the list keeps going, and just pop your ideas there when you are reading a book from wherever you are. What makes it an interesting read? Why can you say, I read this book and it's interesting for me? Failures and adventures, awesome. Transition, awesome. Keep the list going. Let's inspire the next reader, the next writer who may be in here with us today. So just put your ideas out there. Attention holding, motivating, enlightening applications, writer's experience, that's awesome. Able to relate, inspiration, mystery. Those are good words. So I'll keep it up for about a minute and then I'll go to the next item on our agenda. What makes a book an interesting read for you? Okay, captivating, awesome, easy to understand, closure and the publisher, the content, the depth of the book, learning experience, suspense, the book cover, life lessons. Okay, about 30 more seconds before I close this. When you think about a book, what makes it an interesting read for you? Okay, awesome, resonates with me, application of experience, the plots. Okay, so we all have our different reasons why we would read a book and we'll still want to keep the book. I mean, these are just some of the reasons we can think of. And funny enough, most of the things you've actually have up there will be reflected when you have some time to get your copy of the book. So I want to encourage you all, if you're out there, you're still thinking about, should I buy this book? Is it going to be a good read? What more can we say? You'll find some time in your busy schedule to go online and click the link on the PowerPoint on our presentation today to purchase your copy of the book. And you can keep that going. I'm just going to move straight to the next item on our agenda, which is I'm going to throw it open to members of the audience right now to give us some view. So this is about you if you've read the book, personal. Now it's anyone. If you think you've read the book, wherever you are in North America, in Europe, in Latin America, in South America, Europe, Africa, if you think you've read the book, please go ahead. I'm going to throw the floor open for about 5 minutes for you to share 1 or 2 tips you take away from the book. And it's going to be an open conversation. So please feel free and be mindful of others as we go along. So the floor is open now. General comments from readers of our book today. Please feel free to share your thoughts with us before we move to the next item on the agenda. Anyone wants to share his or her experience with us reading a book? The floor is yours. Okay, looks like everyone is keeping it quiet. Quiet is sometimes good, but I just want to encourage you. It's your time. We just want to hear from you. What are your thoughts reading the book, spending some time with the book, and what would you encourage people as it relates to the book when you want to share it with them? The floor is open right now before I take full control back. Okay, Muiwa, please go on. Muiwa, I can see your hands are up. Can you please jump in? You have about 2 minutes.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Muyiwa Adele. Been a friend of the Haastrup for quite some years, right from when we were young, and I'm not surprised you find out about the book. Tolu has been writing since ages. I can remember. I'm not going to make so much comments about the book. I'm going to make comments about the author. If you want to make comments about the book, please buy the book. It's worth every penny and every energy that's put into it. So please buy the book. All right. Yeah, I think if he goes back down the history, the author will realize that he got so many things he has written, put together, so many manuscripts in the higher education notebook that we've put together since we were in secondary school. So seeing this come into reality, it's a big thing. Congratulations, Tolu. Keep the fire burning. I love the suspense in the book. I love the transition. I love the way you narrated your story through, well, some people might just call it casual, but some of us that got to know the in-depth meaning of what you're trying to say, including your walking in the park and jogging, all those things, we understand that. Thank you for putting yourself out there and writing this. God bless. Get a copy of the book. It's quite intriguing. It's quite good. Please get a copy. Buy for people. Buy it for your kids. Buy for everybody around you. Put it in the church library or anything, even your school library. Thank you. That's it from me. Bye.
Thank you so much, Mewa. Eunice, can you please jump in?
Thank you so much. I want to say congratulations to Tolu. He's a brother, and I've read the book. I bought one, the Kindle version, and I bought 2 hard copies for my kids. I hardly have time to pick up a book and read this from cover to cover. Like it can take me like months, like 6 months to read a book. But Adventure of Zeph is a book that I picked up and I read it within a couple of days. I don't think it lasted maybe 5 days because you just wanted to, see the next level, the next scene, what's going to happen next. So I want to say that it's a book that I recommend to everyone, whether you're a teenager, youth, or adult, or you are in your old age. It's a book that will benefit you greatly. There is something for everyone. In that book, you will see principles of a successful career wherever you are at in your career, whatever you do. There's something for you in your business, life in general. Everything is embedded in that book. Parenting style, the style of the previous generations is not something that you can apply 100% to this new generation. So you will find parenting style there. The world is evolving. So parents need to adopt a parenting style that is individualized and child-centered. So all this and many more recorded in Adventures of Zeph. And again, I say congratulations to Tolu. I'm so proud of you. And if you have not grabbed your own copy, you need to go do that right now.
Thank you so much, Eunice. Is there anyone who also wants to talk again?
Yeah, I'd like to say something.
Okay.
Yeah, it's my name's Pastor Willie Dueck. I'm actually Tolu's pastor here in Calgary, and I was just amazed at his book and the depth and also the breadth of it. And here's just some things I just wrote down. Understanding of immigration, prison reform, political science, psychology, supply chain, economics, agriculture, delegation, administration, spiritual values, forgiveness. It just goes on and on. I was thinking of 2021 was a year of launching of, Elon Musk with SpaceX and with, who's the other one? Bezos, what's his, Blue Origin? And, in the area of launching, and the launching of this book, it's like the launching of those space programs was like ordinary people coming up with things that were only reserved for certain people. And I believe this is a season for ordinary people to launch some things. And so we just celebrate, Tolu, the launching of your book, and may it go far and wide and touch many lives.
Thank you so much, Pastor Willie and Laura. We really appreciate your insights. Any other thoughts? If you have read the book that you want to share your ideas and thoughts with us around the book, it's an open floor right now before I take the mic away from you. Anyone that wants to say 1 or 2 things? Okay, so without further ado, I think I'm going to throw the floor back open to our author today. Now, this is where you get to ask him your questions. You know, I know most of you had so many questions hearing us speak for a while. So I think before I go on, I think Cheryl Elizabeth wants to say one or two things. Can you please make it snappy? The floor is yours before I send it over to Dr. Sajobi. Go on, Cheryl.
Hello?
We can hear you loud and clear. Go on.
Yes, I want to say a big congratulations to Dr. Tolu Sajobi. I've actually not gone through the book, but I know the impact of books to teenagers. I guess when I read through the profile of the book, the story is about a teenager or something like that. So I have an idea for him. He should, I don't know the stage whereby the book can be made available to public libraries so that teenagers or even high school, so that teenagers will have we will readily have access to the book and they'll be able to get some information, and they will get a lot of skills and a lot of things embedded in the book. So that is just the idea I have for Dr. Tolu Sajobi. Congratulations to you, Dr. Tolu.
Yeah, thank you, Sheon. Really appreciate that. We're working to make the book available not only in Canada, but also in Nigeria, and making it available at libraries and several other organizations. So thank you for that idea. Really appreciate it.
Okay.
If you have any questions for Dr. Tolu Sajobi, this is your time. The floor is open to you. Any questions about the book, any questions about the inspiration behind the book, thoughts about availability and things like that, please go ahead and, you and they, please go ahead.
Okay, thank you. And I would like to say big congratulations to Dr. Tolu Sajobi. For me, I got to know him at OAU, and I never knew he writes. I thought it's all about writing articles, journals, and then making publications. So I'm just learning this part of it. I heard so many people saying he do write while he was in secondary school. I never knew that. But I have this question. I've not read the book though, but my question is, why the name Zeph? I was looking at it like, oh, it's an adventure, and it suggests that he's an immigrant. Then why that name? That name doesn't sound to me like a name for an immigrant, or kind of, I'm not saying that an immigrant cannot be Zeph, but why that name? Why the choice of that name? I have that question, one. And I have another question also, going about the fact that it's about immigrants, and he finds himself in a new place. I have this question of, because I'm not a kind of person that loves to dare. It took me time for me to come down to Mexico to have my PhD. I'm a Nigerian. I would have loved to stay back in my country to have my PhD. I don't like adventure. So I would like to know why. I've not read the book though. I would like to know the inspiration that suggests adventures, and what would be his take concerning immigration, because we have issues of immigrations across board. Here in Mexico, sometimes I see people moving around from different countries, trying to find a good living for themselves, kind of, either in Mexico or in US, and they have plans to cross the border. And you always cross my heart like, oh, why can't their home country be just so good that they don't have to go all this way? And sometimes when I hear immigrants traveling down the sub-Saharan Africa, how people are trying to cross over to Europe, it breaks my heart. I wish people don't go on adventure. I wish we just stay wherever we are. So I have these two questions for you, Dr. Tolu Sajobi. Why and why the adventures? And would you say people should go on adventure, or we should just make the word a good place, that I'm a Nigerian, I don't need to explore. I just need to stay back home and everything will be fine. So I have those
Over to
two
you, Dr.
questions.
Sajobi.
Yeah, thank you, Yewande, for those important questions. I was still chatting with a dear friend yesterday, and he said people are going to ask you. I think it was actually Funso, that people are going to ask you why Zeph, and he actually gave me a Yoruba name for Zeph, which is Zephiu, you know. So but then the name was, I actually chose the African setting for the story, and the whole idea is not to choose a particular country that is in existence right now. My goal was to go into history to showcase the fact that Africa is not the Africa that we know, poor, wretched, and people not doing well, that there is actually a civilization where Africa was actually the center, the most powerful continent or nations on the earth, right? And so I went to look at the history and did some research around the Nubian kingdom of the past. And that was where some of the names comes up. Some of the name was actually made up. If you look at Shalaptonia, for example, it's actually the name that I formed from Ibadan. I was born in Ibadan. It's actually Okeshakpati. So if you grew up in Ibadan, you know Okeshakpati, and then I changed it to Shalaptonia, right? If you're Nigerian, you probably see some name like Raja, and Banga was actually what we used to do back home during Christmas and all the fireworks. We call it Banga in Nigeria. So I formed some of the names. So that was how I made up some of the names, essentially. About the inspirations, I think there's a deep-seated longing and aspirations in many of us to be better than who we are, to leave a better legacy for our children. And those in particular deep-seated inspirations and aspirations are things that propel the world to be better, right? And whether it is Mungo Pass crossing the River Niger or the Columbus coming to the Americas, there is something that really, that is in all of us to be better, to explore, to reach out beyond our current status quo, right? And that is where that is coming from. Everybody has to make decisions. For some of the people, and this, I know that immigration and refugee crisis around the world is political, and people are on the different spectrum as this is. But I tell people, whether it's the refugee that is trying to escape the crisis in Afghanistan and climbing the plane and they are falling off the planes, to people crossing into the US, or you that you actually packed your bag and you're tired of where you are and you kind of say, I just want to pursue academic excellence, or I'm moving because I just want to test myself in other parts of the world. We all have that in common, that we have ideas and we have a longing to be better than who we are. So I'm just going to put it like that, but you and we can always talk, actually. It's so good to see you after 18 years, my friend. So thank you for joining.
Thank you so much, Professor. I'll go over to Daniel. Can you please ask your question?
Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. Thank you, brother Tolu. First of all, I want to say congratulations on the creative endeavor of writing The Adventures of Zeph. It's such a monumental achievement. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Daniel. I'll go over to
my question is that
okay.
I'm interested in learning about your development as a writer. Writing, it's very creative. It's in people. It may be latent, and it may just be there. I think of the first dichotomy in education in Nigeria, where if you're a science student, you take math, physics, chemistry, not literature, not history. And so, but writing may be a potential in people back then. So when did you first notice within you an inclination to write?
Okay.
And what part, if any at all, has the education and the environment you've lived in Canada played in your development as a writer?
Okay. Thank you, Daniel. It's good to see you. It's been ages as well. Is it 17, 18 years, I guess, that we've seen each other? So it's so good to see you. I think you raised a very important question. I'm going to just step back a bit and tell you about a part of me that only very few people on this call ever know. So your question is actually right on point. You know, what part did my education and training and background play in making me to write this? I must confess that as a teenager, I used to write drama script for my church drama group as a 14-year-old, 15-year-old back in Elisha in Eritrea. And so if you wonder where I picked that from, yes, I was in the sciences, I didn't take literature. That was where I think my fantasies about writing started from. You come up, you have to, it's not that you don't have, it's not that you have a choice. The drama group is going to have an event at the end on the 31st, and you have to come up with a story. So that was where that started. I must also mention that Muiwa Yodeli, who spoke recently, we went to the same English lessons in 95, 96, 97, and we would talk about writing a book. He was the first person that planted the idea of writing a book somewhere in the future. And looking back now and seeing the future here, we kind of have to dream about all the ones. Now, the experience of writing, when I finished the first draft and I sent it to a few reviewers, of course, they were kind of, oh, this is pretty rough, you know? And I remember even after all the corrections, I sent it to the reviewers, to the editor, and we're just like, this is just so academic. And I said, yeah, that's all I've done over my life. I've published over 200 papers. That is all about academics. If I want to tell people I went from A to B, that I'm just going to say it. That's just what it is. And then I began to learn about creative writing and storytelling in writing. And I was just like, this is so difficult. So if I want to say I went from A to B, I have to describe the environment, the scene, what I was feeling when I was at stage A and before I moved to stage B. And it was kind of depressing at first, but I was just like, you know, maybe I should go and take a course in creative writing before I finish the book. But I had people that helped me, Temilade, Bolaji, Dele Ola, Samuel Ansin, a lot of reviewers pitched in, and we have something that we think is ready. It's not a perfect work of fiction, but you can consider it my first gig in writing piece. So thank you for that.
Oh, thank you. Thank God for you.
Thank you so much, Professor. I think we'll just go to the next person for the sake of time. I'll call Okumbi at Daytona. Please go ahead with your question. Hello?
Yeah, yes, thank you, Dr. Sajobi. Thank you so very much for being a source of inspiration. Tolu has been my mentor for a very long time and a wonderful friend and a brother. So I'm using this opportunity to say congratulations. You're not just about writing academic books, you're also writing these kind of creative masterpiece. Thank you so much. So my question is that I know you've mentioned and we've discussed the creative aspect of being a challenge. What are the other challenges you faced when you were writing this book? And how did you navigate these challenges? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kumi.
Thank you so much, Dr. Adetona. I really appreciate that. And it's so good to put doctor behind that name, I must say.
I know. Thank you so much for every way that you've encouraged me. I really appreciate it a lot.
It's okay. So the question is, what are the other challenges? I think the biggest challenge is, it's not even time. It's just the challenge of, can I do this? You know, is it really worth it? There are lots of people that have written books. You know, what else do I want to say? You know, I struggle with that a bit, and I'm grateful for the continuous support of friends. Dele Ola has been so amazing. Dr. Johnson Yilade, so just like, we can't wait for the book to come. I said, what if it doesn't, it's not really good? I said, yeah, at least you got it out there, right? And so trying to overcome my perfectionist self to say, you know, this is not academic writing, this is creative writing, was one of the biggest challenges. And then the other one is time, trying to juggle family and a busy professional career, academic career in the middle of everything was tough, but I'm so grateful that I had a support system. My wife has been so amazing, Abimbola, and the two boys, they keep me on my toes. My son started praying from the first day that is going to sell 50 million copies, and he prays it. He still prays it till today. So sometimes they just say, okay, that is writing, and I could lock myself up for a few hours when I get the inspiration to write. So thanks for asking that.
Thank you so much, Tolu. The next question I'll take, please keep your questions really short because of our time. Akindele or Deshi, can you please ask a question?
Okay, thank you so much. I just want to say congratulations to Tolu. I am not surprised that this has come to be. I've been watching you over the years with the diligence and the hard work. So I'm really impressed, and I thank God for what God is using you to do. I see this as you pouring yourself to the entire world to learn something. And this is a legacy that will outlive you. I want to say congratulations, and just keep the ink flowing. The question I want to ask is this. I've not read the book. I've just ordered my own. I've been very busy, but I'm going to create time to read this book, because now with all people are saying, I'm motivated to create that time, even before I get it, really time to read it. So my question is, if the opportunity arises in future, since the world we live in now believes so much in graphics and visuals, if the opportunity arises, is there a chance of partnering with people who are into the movie industry to turn this one into movie?
Thank you so much, Akindele. Over to you, Prof.
Thank you, Professor Deshi. It's so good, and thank you for making time to attend this. And by the way, Professor Deshi is one of my mentors over the years. He's been, 13 years now, or almost 14 years that I've known him. And so thank you so much, sir, for making time. Actually, you hit the nail right on the head. Actually, when I started writing the idea, the whole story started like a movie. And I remember sharing it with a few reviewers when I shared it with them that this book, my vision for it is that it's going to be made into a movie. I don't know how that is going to happen, but I am believing God that at the end, this will be a movie. So that is my long-term goal. It's not enough to sell 50 million copies. I am actually believing God that this will be a movie that can touch lives, that can transform lives. So, and it's going to be a series. So if we could have Iron Man 1, 2, 3, 4, then you could have the Chronicles of Lebron 1, 2, 3, 4 as well. So thank you for that particular point. The other thing I'm trying to set up after this session is that hopefully next month we're going to start a podcast to keep the message going, and some of the important lessons here will be things that will be discussed as part of the podcast. So that will also be made available to people as well. So thank you so much, sir.
Okay, thank you so much, Professor Sajobi. I'll just take 2 more questions because of time, and I'll go over to Kunle. Please, can you make it snappy? Kunle, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Sorry, guys. I'm on the road. I just want to make this a quick one. Tolu, a big congratulations to you, Dr. Sajobi. This is an awesome job. I'm kind of late to the party. I just ordered mine yesterday night, a copy. The question I have for you is this: what actually motivated you from just the conceptual thinking about this book to actually going all the way to say, oh, I'm going to publish a book? And the other question I have, the second question is this: I know this book is available on platforms such as Amazon. Is there any plan to make it available on other digital platforms, let's say Google Books and Co?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Kunle. I call you Kunle Baba. Kunle and I go way back from Windsor, so it's 15 years and counting anyway. So thank you for attending. Yes, my motivations are twofold. Number one, I've always been passionate about career development. You know that very well, Kunle, and everybody that's, if you've ever been with me, you know that I want people to be the best versions of themselves. And so over the years, I've mentored people one-on-one, and of course, my work involved graduate supervisions and mentoring students, so I try to put some of the experiences and some of the lessons into what I do. But increasingly, it's becoming difficult to mentor everybody one-on-one. So I feel that, if I could package some of these ideas into a book, it could be something that people can pick up and can reach a big audience. So that's number one. The second reason was more personal. It's about me trying to explore some of the talents and potentials that I have. At every point in our life, we ask ourselves, is this it? Is this the only thing I want to be defined by? And I remember a few years ago, my pastor, Pastor Willie, was preaching about trusting God for more, that it could be bigger. God can make us bigger than where we are, but we've got to be able to think outside the box and explore ideas that God will give us. And so I began, reflecting and asking, is this the only thing? I'm a professor, yes. And so what next? You won awards, you get grants, you get everything, you supervise students. Is this what I want to do to the end of my life? And so that is where I began to look inward and realize that there are actually potentials and talents in me that I'm trusting God to help me develop. So when this whole idea that started like just one idea on a dark night in the United Kingdom while I was visiting Cardiff, I just put pen to paper, I wrote 2 pages, and that became a book. And now we have 3 other books that are coming after this one. I actually started writing the second volume early this year. So it's part of me exploring the gift and talents that God has given me. So thank you, Kunle, for making time to join this. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Professor Sajobi. Over to Ikene, please make it snappy. Our time is fast spent.
Yeah, thanks a lot. So I want to congratulate Professor Sajobi as well. We've known each other for quite some time now. I just want to ask 1 or 2 questions. I think one of them would be, you've gone through the rigor of writing a book and all that. So what will be the lessons learned in this? And would you maybe somehow share your experiences of the downsides? I'm sure it wasn't always like being at the top every time. I guess there was some times that it was quite difficult to also navigate, and how you managed to just oppose the family life, work life, and as well as having time and creating time to write the book. And yeah, once more, congratulations.
Yeah, thank you, IK. So IK and I go way back from 100 level in year 1 in the Department of Mathematics in Ife. So that is 23 years now as well. So thank you, my friend, joining from Germany. Some of the lessons learned are that we're much more than what we think we are. There's more to us. There is more talents and more potentials if we would dare to just try, and that is the reality for me. I didn't know I knew I wanted to write a book, but I just thought it's just a regular book. But when the idea of putting it in a story form came, sometimes I pick up the book myself and I reread it, and I turn to my wife and say, I can't believe I wrote this. Where did these ideas ever come from? What was I thinking or smoking or something when I was doing this? You just wonder and say, where did it come from? And I look at myself and say, I can't believe I'm the one that did this. And that is what comes when we explore the talents, the ideas. Sometimes it might just be a little idea that comes to your mind. So that's one of the lessons I learned, that there's more to us than what our society, our work, our profession has defined us to be. The downside, some of the challenges, you're right, I had many challenges. I think the biggest one is, first of all, overcoming myself. Overcoming the fact that, oh, what will people think? What if the book is not good? What if the writing was not good? As a matter of fact, when I finish writing, I send them the people that, you see as reviewers here. They were not reviewers originally. I just sent the book to them to say, please, can you check if I'm not crazy? Because I thought these are just fantasies in my head. And so if they say it's a crazy idea, I was going to drop it, right? And they all looked at it and were just like, I can't believe I've never looked at it this way. This is so nice. And then they started providing comments. So overcoming myself was the first one. What would people say? What if I'm not successful? What if it doesn't fly? Who will buy the book? You know, how do you do launching? I'm not the kind of person that likes to blow my own trumpet. You know, how do I do this? And so there are some of those challenges. And then you feel maybe you're not good enough. I thought about putting the book away till maybe next year until I finish the course. But I'm grateful for people that supported me. My wife, for example, she was the first person that read the book and she thought it was fantastic. You know, my two boys, even though my older one charged me $10 for each chapter that he read. Toyosi, you're there, you're hearing me, you know. But yeah, it's all a support system that supported me to accomplish this. So thank you, IK, for that.
All right, thank you so much, Professor. We'll take the last question and then we'll move on to the final stretch of our virtual launch today. So Eunice, please go ahead and ask your question, please.
Thank you so much. Congratulations again, Tolu. I like to read books, but I don't have the time. So what I've been doing lately is buy audiobooks. So is Adventures of Zeph gonna be audio book in the nearest future?
Yes, thank you, sister.
And yeah, that's because of time. Let me just stop there.
Yeah, you can ask the second question, by the way. So.
Okay, that's okay for now.
Okay, thank you, Ma. Thank you, Sister Eunice. So amazing. Thank you for taking time to reviewing it and for your very kind comments. Yes, there is plan to make this book into an audio book. I can relate with that. I also prefer to read audio books these days after reading thousands of pages of documents, you know, every day, and on thousands of emails as well. So sometimes you get so emotionally exhausted to read a book. So yeah, we're planning to, we're looking into creating an audio book for this and the whole series. So whether it's going to be immediately or after we finish all the series, it's another thing that our team will definitely look into. So thank you for that question.
Okay, thank you so much, Professor Sajobi. So that's a wrap up for our questions with the author. We just have to move quickly because of time. Tolu Sajobi will still be online after we finish the virtual sessions. So if you have any questions, please feel free. But I'd just like to pass it on to him again to give us an acknowledgement and vote of thanks before we wrap up today. Over to you, Doctor.
Yeah, thank you, for sure. Really, thank you everyone for coming. This whole book and the launching is a team effort. It wasn't something that I would have thought. Actually, one of my biggest fears about writing a book is the launching. I don't know how to. I dread, you know, launching events because, you know, I just think it's just too grand or something. But I really appreciate many people that make this book that you're looking at or you're holding a success. Number one, I'd like to thank my family. Bimbola has been so amazing and understanding and supportive. She was the first person I read the book and she was just like, she said, Tolu, I've never seen you in this light. And so I want to thank her for the support. You know, many of you know her as Abby, but that's my wife, that's my best friend. You know, so thank you, Temi, for the support and filling in with kids, with the boys, reviewing different versions of the book. And I want to thank my two boys, Toyosi and Tofumi. You know, thank you for being super supportive. Thank you, Toyosi, for helping me to review the book and catching errors. There's still some errors. And I remember one day I was just like, there's so much errors. And it's just like, Daddy, don't sweat about it. You know, he likes this series, The Diary of a Wimpy Kid, and he picked up the book and picked out all the errors in The Diary of a Wimpy Kid that sold 50 million copies. And said, Daddy, you know, don't worry, you're fine. You know, so thank you for being supportive. It's been a journey working with you, Toyosi. I actually revised the whole chapter 1 of the book, the prologue, based on Toyosi's comment. He read the first version and said, this is not how people are bullied. So he gave me his own version of how people get bullied. And so I had to revise it. And it struck a conversations between us about bullying and what not to do and how to avoid bullying. So thank you, boys. I love you so much. I want to go ahead and thank my publisher of Brand Deals Agency, Jibola. Jibola, where are you? You've got to come up, you know. So Jibola is a brand manager, is a brand expert, and a very gentle and humble soul. I know he's out there managing the chats. Thank you for your support and your coping with me. Yeah, here's Jibola. Jibola is amazing. Please help me to thank Jibola. He's so amazing and, you know, detailed. He had this design done essentially, right? And we have went through multiple rounds of editorial work beyond what we actually bargained. So if you ever want to publish a book or you need a brand manager, Jibola is the guy to go to. I will recommend him anytime. I'd like to thank the reviewers as well, Dr. Johnson, Dr. Professor James Yeku in Kansas, Dr. Samuel Lansing, Dr. Dele Ola, Temilade Adeleke, thank you, and Bolaji Adeniji, you guys let me know that I was not crazy when I shared the whole story with you. So thank you for validating the ideas. Thank you for this several hours that you spent, you know, correcting my Nigerian English most times and supporting me. I don't think I would have done this without you guys, and I appreciate your friendship. I want to thank Heidi, you know, Heidi Funso Haastrup, you know, thank you for filling in when I call you last minute and say, you know, you're going to be the MC. You know, I really appreciate your support, your insight, your wisdom. It's been 15 years doing life with you and your family. So thank you for being there for us. I want to thank everyone that made this event possible. I want to also thank Muiwa Ayodele. If you're still there, Muiwa, thank you for, Muiwa was the first person. Muiwa was the first person that led me to Christ. I got born again because of Muiwa in 1997. And he said, we're going to write books in the future. He just said it. I was just like, where does he get confidence? You know, we have not even passed WAEC. We've not passed high school results. He's talking about writing books in the future. And here am I writing the first book, you know, of course, several scientific articles later. So thank you for being my friend and for being supportive. And thank you, Professor Rita. You brought memories with your keynote. I know how busy you are. I'm in the same boat, you know. So, but for you to really read the book to back, thank you. It means a lot to me. And we'll go way back. Is it 2010 in Saskatoon? And how we used to meet in those graduate student stuff. Well, thank you for inspiring not just me, but a whole generation of Nigerians to go into research and to in things like that. You are a high flyer, and I appreciate your friendship and for making time to do this. I owe you one. Okay, so next time when you come to Calgary, you know, let me know. And if my way ever comes to Dalhousie, of course, I'm going to find you out. So thank you everyone for being part of this. This is great. I want us to keep the conversation going beyond the book launch. It's more, right? You know, we need to keep the conversation going. We're in a very tenuous and stressful time, not just as immigrants, but globally. You know, people are going through transitions. Yes, the book will be about immigration, but we're all transitioning. The world is changing and evolving right in our eyes with COVID and the pandemic. And so let's encourage people, let's give hope, let's lend helping hands to others, let's support others. You know, if you bought the book, you know, buy it or gift it to other people. We also appreciate reviews on Amazon, on other platforms. The book is not just on Amazon. I remember somebody asked that question, I forgot about it. The book are other on Goodreads and other platforms as well. We're also exploring the possibility of having it in Nigeria. I've seen that comment in in the chats. We're thinking about other books in Nigeria to make it available. And so share the lessons that you've learned on the book, or, talk about it on social media. Anything to get it into the hand of people will be very much appreciated. Before I go, I also want to thank my dear friend Wale Ligbide. Wale and I go way back, also probably 23, 24 years back to campus fellowship. Well, Wale is a journalist with Telegram in Nigeria. So I want to thank the gentlemen and women of the press from Nigeria that are also journalists that are covering this event right now. I don't know your names one-on-one, but really grateful that you guys are willing to make time to attend this and cover this event. Really appreciate it. So, and everyone that left me comments in the chats, I'm sorry, it will be difficult to concentrate responding to everyone. I want to tell you, I see them all. Thank you for being part of this event. So over to you, Heidi. Thank you.
So thank you so much, Dr. Sajobi. It's been a pleasure having the opportunity to anchor this virtual book launch. On behalf of Dr. Sajobi and everyone today, I just want to say a big thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule. For some of you, I know it's late in the night, depending on what part of the world you are. Thank you for staying up awake to join to start the conversation. And I just want to say a big thank you to our keynote speaker, Professor Rita. Thanks a lot for your time. Everyone will spend time helping make this book become a reality today. I just want to say a big thank you. And please don't forget, if you're yet to purchase a copy of the book, the link is just there on your screen. Go ahead and place your order right now. We're really excited about the prospects, about the lessons that will come from this book, and how far this book will go in helping us all grow as humans and individuals wherever we find ourselves today. On behalf of myself and Professor Sajobi, I just want to say thank you. The chat room will open for the next couple of hours. So if you want to stay around and ask him some questions, it's still going to be available for your questions. But apart from that, I just want to say thank you so much and hope you have yourself a great weekend wherever you are in the part of the world. Thank you so much for joining us today. And we look forward to hearing your reviews about the book and also inspiring Dr. Sajobi for the next book. Thank you so much and have a great evening, everyone. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, MC. That was a good job.